yard. Now let me go to the next issue. Another person died in the police lockup. Another person, prisoner, died in the lockup. Now let me play this here so that y'all could get a full background into the story, and then we're gonna examine. I'm playing the newscast. I think it's Royston Drake's. So you get a full, I get a reasonable background into what we are going to discuss next.
Police have launched an investigation into the death of a 30-year-old man who died while in police custody at the Cove and John police station on the east coast of Demerara, prompting protests from relatives and residents. The dead man was identified as Jordan Payne of South Haslington. Police said he died around 12:10 a.m. Tuesday after becoming unresponsive while in custody. According to a police report, preliminary investigations indicate that Payne had earlier complained of feeling unwell and was escorted to the Enmore Regional Hospital for medical attention, where he was examined and treated by a doctor on duty before being returned to the station. Police said while in custody, Payne again complained of feeling unwell and subsequently became unresponsive. He was subsequently taken back to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Police said no marks of violence were observed on his body. The Guyana Police Force Office of Professional Responsibility has since been called in to probe the circumstances surrounding his death. Tempers flared outside of the Cove and John police station as family members and residents gathered seeking answers. Payne's mother and brother told reporters that he had been arrested last Friday in connection with a domestic violence matter involving his girlfriend. They said after 72 hours, he was expected to appear in court on Tuesday.
All this man on Friday, right? 72 supposed to happen since Monday. That was since yesterday, right? We come here yesterday, we think he was to go to court yesterday, but when we come, then said yesterday was in the court. Let me come back today. All day yesterday, we did back and forth, eh? And then they saying, well, hey, this man out there on bail. It's last time before they left the station. So, and now the officer trying to say that this man was on bail since yesterday and his family come and bail. Yes. And we was here since yesterday, all day back and forth. I get a little cousin when in the house.
When I ask the police them, Mr. Man, me bring this bike close to go to. Them say the Enmore Marchery. Me ask them how come it's the Enmore Marchery. Them say me got to go down there. Right? When they say me gotta go. When me go, the doctor tell me how the police them bring him dead. He all body cold. They bring him after 12, he already dead, he body cold. And the doctor said he had to dead a good while. You understand? And when I was trying to get to see my son, I can't see my son. Them say I can't see me, gotta get ID card. Me tell them, me your mother. Me don't must could identify my son. And they was denying me from seeing my son. Until when the inspector come and the inspector let me see.
Acting Regional Commander of Region 4C, Dennis Stevens, met with family members and assured them that a thorough investigation will be carried out. The force has nothing to hide, he assured.
What I would do, I would communicate with Commissioner to have the ransom judge and the OPR to come and investigate the matter. As I said, we are open for any information. We have none to hide. Right? We have none to hide. Yeah. The investigation will be transparent, and the whatsoever the results you will be.
So when you get locked up by the officer, you don't gotta give your name and your address and all this thing?
Yes.
So you telling me my brother passed out last night and only this morning, we know? What will you get to say about that?
Well,
alright, you take this man to the hospital, right? When you take it to the hospital, he pass out. You know what? Try to reach out to your family and say, well, hey, this man pass out or something.
Well, as I said, that also will come out from the investigation.
And, alright, we get locked up. How behind the back there one set foods and all that?
The ranks from the crime scene will have been examined. So they're examined and said again, all those allegations will be investigated, and you will be briefed as to the outcome of the investigation.
Well, the officer cuffed me brother in the belly and gun, but he see it with me all night. The corporal, like, I ready for go anywhere to set up.
So you will contact you to give a statement as what you are.
We ready to give me statement now.
Yes,
yeah, guys see it with me all night. Then kill me brother.
At Haslington, residents blocked sections of the roadway with debris, disrupting traffic for a short period. Police later cleared the road and maintained a presence in the area to ensure order. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Home Affairs, in a statement on the matter, said a thorough and comprehensive investigation has been initiated. The ministry assures the public and in particular the affected family, that this process will be conducted with the highest standards of professionalism, impartiality, and accountability. At this time, we appeal for calm, restraint, and respect for the rule of law as the facts are carefully examined, the ministry said.
Now, you heard that, so you got a background as to what transpired. But before we move on, breaking news. Out of the Caribbean Court of Justice, they have put a stay, according to what he's saying, CCJ halts Mohammed extradition case. The Caribbean Court of Justice today put a halt on the extradition case. I didn't get the details. So that is what is being said. I remember, as I told you all this morning, this matter is moving with breakneck speed, and the Caribbean Court of Justice are set today for case management. I explained as best as I could what case management means. They were expected today, they would have listened to, set dates, set a timeline for submissions to be made and for all of these things to be done by the different parties if they were to go to trial when they were to do case management today. But it is being reported elsewhere that the CCJ put a halt to the extradition proceedings until, I guess, the matter is resolved, or the matter is pronounced on at the Caribbean Court of Justice. Body, Tylenol and painkillers can sell out. People gonna get headache. Mohammed get dengue fever. Them gonna get Lamborghini-itis fever and all this other thing now. They're gonna get all manner of complaint. And let me listen for the cuss out. They're gonna cuss the CCJ and they're gonna leak a matter. Remember, the CCJ, the same Caribbean Court of Justice, had accused the same Attorney General, Anil Nandlal, SC, MP, of bringing that court into disrepute. It's just Justice Witt had made that pronouncement when an embargo decision was leaked from the Facebook page or from the social media platform of the Attorney General. And the Attorney General said that some staff member leaked it and so on. Yeah, I remember that. Look, let me tell you something. I might be old, but I got good memory. We don't forget these things, right? So don't be surprised if you're going to hear maybe the CCJ now is in collusion with the Mohammeds to have this matter delayed. That is the development on that. That is the development on that matter. And I thought, seeing that we just dealt with the extradition proceedings, before we go forward into this matter with the police, where the person died in the police lockup, in police custody, that we should update you. Let me bring in CC because I'm sure he wants to say something about this too. CC, two things. The CCJ's ruling, it has been ruled, that has been reported. I haven't been able to read anything further, but that is what has been said. The CCJ and the death of this person based on the report that we have just heard there. Go ahead.
I'm not surprised with the CCJ's putting a stay on it. I'm not surprised. No, the death, yet another death of persons in police custody. And there were some over the past months, and apparently they didn't learn from them. We had a death of a prisoner in the lockups at Lethem police station. They say he hung himself with his underwear, or what Jack Day would say is boxer. Perhaps he had a slack boxer and he hung himself with it. Apart from the initial report and nothing else. We had case at 51 police station. Another man committed suicide in the lockups. Nothing. Parafaith Harmony. We saw the photograph of the guy with a handcuff dying there. Nothing more apart from the initial report. Rumwell police station. A man who was shot and injured died in the lockups. You see, when these things happen, if they do proper investigations, if they take them and make case studies, there are lessons to be learned so that things won't happen again. But they don't do that. Here's it. A man in police custody and died in police custody. I was mildly surprised when I saw, I think it was this morning, I saw a clip with Senior Superintendent Dennis Stevens facing the people, answering questions. But I know where is the commander? Where is Pazram? There was the highway Pazram. And Pazram had incident before.
Let me interject and tell you, I learned this morning that Pazram is on leave. And Stephen only took over this weekend. He acting commander over the weekend. And somebody told me that he's very, very unfortunate that so he took over to act. This incident occurred. So Pazram is not around. Pazram is on, I think he might be overseas on training. And Stevens is the acting commander. Sorry to interrupt, but go ahead. I just need to clarify that.
Okay, so Stevens had a deadly introduction here, you know. But the thing is that, you know, I'm happy that at least he attempted to face the people, you know, unlike other commandos. But then there's no statement from headquarters, no press conference from the squatter and others, you know. There's the whole story. So they left a lot of what called conspiracy theories. A lot of conspiracy theories. Man died in police custody. Huh? Died in police custody. And here, excuse me, that investigation will be conducted by that infamous the department that is set up at headquarters, you know. Let me pause here for a while. I'll come back on to you.
Yeah, well, let me say this too, you know. I wish to compliment Senior Superintendent Stevens, the acting commander, in facing the public there. That is what we have been saying for the longest while. When incidents occur, senior police officers must be able to stand up and field questions and basic thing. Yeah, investigation is going to be done and all of that. So compliments to this officer, because I too, like you, CC, when I saw the video yesterday, was wondering what was his role. But then I learned this morning that he is acting commander, right? He's acting commander there. Now, let me, and this is where, y'all share the live, because we're gonna analyze now police action in this matter, what the police did, what they should have done, what should be the way forward. That is what we're gonna do now. So yeah, share, especially these younger policemen, the young officers, and all this everything. All right. The story says that a report was made against this gentleman on Friday last, that he assaulted his child mother. Well, not child mother, she hadn't given birth then. His girlfriend, they say, because she was pregnant. I understand from the reporting that he died yesterday. I think she gave birth the day before, right? She gave birth the day before. So I want you to understand what's happening here. A report is made by a woman who is heavily pregnant, because she gave birth a couple of days after, that she was assaulted, right? All right. The police went and the police arrested this man on Friday. I remember we talking police action. First of all, what authority would the police have had to make the arrest? Asking the question of them. And if anybody is going to investigate, they say, OPR investigating. These are the questions that should be asked. A person making a report does not give the police, well, depending on the nature of the report, but a report of this nature does not give the police the authority to go and arrest the person against whom the report is made. Let me understand this. When a report of this nature is made, police action is, you're going to make an occurrence. You have to get a statement from the person making the report to satisfy yourself that an offense is alleged and there's evidence to support an offense. Let me understand it. The person went there, the person made a report. This is not a report where they're claiming continued danger where somebody try to burn down a house or somewhere where you have to intervene immediately. The person is making a report of an assault which took place some time back, either the same day or sometime before the report is being made. Therefore, the police have a responsibility, proper policing, You will take the report. You will also seek to get a statement. That is must. Is a statement combined with a report that will give you the authority to go and arrest someone. Not only on the basis of the report, you have to get a statement. Again, if there were signs of injuries or so on, the person ought to have been taken to get medical attention. And I would think that if a woman, in this case, who is heavily pregnant, makes a report of assault, it should have been automatic that she should have been taken to get medical attention. Because while there might not have been visible signs of injuries, the fact that she was so advanced in this advanced stage of pregnancy, you ought to have taken her to get medically examined. All right, you're going to arrest the man. Again, I say, I don't know if they took a statement, but I'm saying that is what should have been done. Take a statement. Get her to be escorted to the hospital. Let me understand this thing clearly. Get her to be escorted, not sent to the hospital. There's no provision in the standing orders or police procedure for a person to be sent to the hospital. They should be escorted to the hospital. A police rank escorts the person to the hospital to get medical attention. The police walk with the medical certificate. The police gives the medical certificate to the doctor. The doctor writes up and hand back the medical certificate to the police. On return to the police station, the rank who did the escort is required to write a statement to say that they escorted this person from Cove and John to this hospital or from wherever to the hospital. And during the course of the journey, no injury was received. That is important because you send the post on their own. Some wicked body go and bungs the head on some post, get a bungie, as we'll call it, and then go and claim is the person against whom the report is made, did that to them. But you see, they don't do these things now. I don't know if they even know it. But the person should be escorted to the hospital by a police rank. The rank, when they should then write a statement to say that no injuries was received during this journey. Well, at least before the person got medical attention. That is what should be done. All right, you're going to arrest the man on Friday. The man is in custody. They claim that the man complained of feeling unwell. He was taken to the doctor. He was taken to the hospital. He was treated and sent away. They took him back to the lockup. Now, the question of bail comes into question. I would think, and I'm trying to be fair and balanced, that if an assault is made against this woman, you might very well want to keep him in custody because if you send him on bail, you might fear that he's going to go and he's going to continue this assault. Let me understand it. So let me be balanced and let me be fair. So the fact that he was not sent on bail on Friday, I don't find that extraordinary or strange. What I find very, very strange, that Monday morning, bright and early, before board wife wake, he was not before the court. That is what I find strange. Because if it is that you have done what you were supposed to do, you took a statement from the young lady who made the report, you then cause her to be get medical attention. So you have your medical report, you have your statement, and then you prepare your case, you get your case jacket, you prepare the case. So by Monday morning, if you didn't send him on bail, especially having regards to the fact that, the mandatory 72 hours would have been fast approaching, Monday morning, the man should be going to court. The man should have gone to court Monday morning. But no, he's still in custody all day Monday. And then he's reported to have died sometime Monday night. It's slackness on behalf of the police. And what makes this even more worrying? This man died at Cove and John Police Station lockup. You know where's Cove and John? Cove and John is the divisional headquarters for Regional Division 4C. So at that Cove and John, where this man died in the lockups, there's the office of the commander. There's the office of the second in command. There's the office of the subdivisional officer. There's the office of the divisional detective officer. They got all them enough inspector and sergeant that the president promoted last year in the lead up to the election. So you have to have a lot of supervision there, a lot of supervisors, and the evidence suggests that them supervise and supervise. Because why was this man there all the time? And as I've said, even if you had to keep him in custody, why was he not placed before the court first thing Monday morning? Why was he not placed in court first thing Monday morning? You must answer that, right? And again, I say, let's say OPR can investigate, as CC said. OPR is a dead end. Because once they tell you OPR can investigate, nothing will happen. You know, when OPR started, OPR is the brainchild of Larry Lewis in conjunction with the American ICITAP. I can't remember what the abbreviation or the acronym stands for. ICITAP. A lady by the name of Linda Lewis, I remember well, came down there and they set up OPR. OPR was meant to deal with disciplinary breaches. Neglected duty, somebody come and said they make a report, no action taken, OPR would have dealt with it. OPR was set up to deal with IT and not information technology, integrity testing. So if you see a policeman accumulating wealth beyond what his salary and his earnings could afford, OPR was designed to do that. When the OPR started, I got the thing someplace. They used to send, I think he was assistant commissioner, and Wills was the man who thing. Then you had other people like Jamir, and we used to tease. We used to say OPR stands for Old People Resort. We used to say OPR stands for Old People's Resort because a lot of the older policemen who had retired or who were close to retirement were sent there. That's what we said. The OPR was never set up, and even now, the terms of reference for the OPR don't include them investigating murder and all them everything. No, it does not. It does not. But over the years, everything now, the OPR is a default position. I would love to know the strength of OPR because it's every single matter involving police. They tell you OPR can investigate. And it done there, you don't hear anything further. It has gotten so ridiculous that police is alleged to have killed a man at Linden. Remember the man, Fortuné? And the crime chief, Blanham, deputy commissioner, said, oh, police not investigating. CID not investigating that. CID is not investigating an allegation of an alleged murder. That is what you have in this place. So again, how come this man was not placed before the court on Monday? And then the man. The people are saying now, when he was eventually taken to the hospital yesterday, the mother is claiming that when they asked the doctor, well, the doctor said, when you arrived there, you arrived dead. He's a dead man that took to the hospital. And let me tell you from experience what would happen. And before I say that, let me say this. It has been reported someplace that the man was not alone in the cell. He had others there. At least two others were there with him. So what happened is just that the man lay down and he passed out. He complained of feeling unwell. What happened there? What happened there? What happened? And let me tell you, if it is at some stage, as we know now, this man was discovered motionless, Panic Station would have stepped in. Panic Station would have stepped in. People panicking, whoever on duty running around, like chicken without head, they're jumping around all over the place. That would have been part of what transpired immediately after. And then the question where it was raised a while ago about bail, they said that the man was granted bail. The man could not have been granted bail. The man might have been offered bail. The family are disputing that. Let me get it correct. You can't grant him bail and he's in the police custody. You might have offered him bail and the bail was not posted, so he remains in police custody. You can't get rid of that. You can't wriggle out of that. You can't say that he was offered bail or he was granted bail. He died in police custody. He died in police custody. That is been revealed. The manner of death is to be examined, right? But we know that he died. Now, they talk about the post-mortem examination, which is expected. I learned this morning that when the police turned up to have the post-mortem examination done, it was not done because Dr. Neil Singh, the pathologist, claimed that all the papers that were required to be presented by the police were not in order. So I don't know if it's the coroner's report, the coroner's order, but I think based on what I've said, that the doctor wanted to see what happened when he was taken first to the hospital, what was the result there, what was the diagnosis and all that. The pathologist wants to see that, which is only logical. So a lot of questions are to be asked. But let me bring in CC because I'm sure you want to say a lot too. Are we going to come back? I have many more questions to ask about this matter. CC, go ahead, man. I know you're champing at the bit to have your say. Go ahead, my brother.
Now, I don't know if they really read Standing Order number 73, and that deal with prisoners. And if the man is arrested, there's supposed to be certain records being made. An entry in the station diary. And normally he's right. A physical examination was made on the exposed part of his body. No sign of injury seen. He made no complaint against the arresting rank or any other member of the force. And you ask them to sign it. If there are injuries, you record the injuries. If he's making a complaint, you record it. That's supposed to be done in the station diary. That is what you got to do. And then if you're going to put him in the lockups, you're supposed to search him. You're supposed to search the lockups before you put him inside. And while there, you'll have to make records, visit. You got to be visited. And there's a thing we call a prisoner charge sheet. Entry made in the charge sheet. Entry made in the station, and they should that should be, they should correspond. At 1600 hours, Constable Smith visited the lockups and found the prisoner alive and well. He made no complaint. Entry in the prisoner's charge sheet. Then I understand that he was taken to the hospital. I wonder if they had any entry there about the nature of the injuries and who escorted him, and when he returned, what happened? Did they have any medical certificate? A whole lot of things they got to do. And Paul, you mentioned we're keeping the man there for 72 hours, 72 hours. I, as a investigator, as a station sergeant, as a prosecutor, as a commander, in terms of granting bail, there are certain points that I used to consider. Points to be considered before granting bail. And bear with me, let me go through them. Gravity and nature of the charge. The nature of the offense. Weight of evidence. Status of the accused. Possibility of him absconding or not returning. And this question, will a granting of bail defeat the end of justice? And you got to be guided by the Constitution and the laws of Guyana. Let me go over for those who might be taking notes. Gravity and nature of the charge. Nature of the offense. Weight of evidence. Status of accused. Possibility of absconding. Will the granting of bail defeat the end of justice? I got to be guided by the Constitution and the laws of Guyana. And let me go to the laws of Guyana. I have before me the Bail Act. I sent it to on the 15th of November 2022 by Mohammed Irfan Ali, President. Section 4 talk about police bail. And let me read about it for police bail. Section 4.1. Where a person is taken into custody for an offense without a warrant, a police officer, if it is not practicable to bring the prisoner before a magistrate within 24 hours after the person is taken into custody, shall inquire into the case and A, if the offense is not one punishable with imprisonment, shall grant the person bail with every convenient speed. I repeat, with every convenient speed. And B, if the offense is one punishable with imprisonment, may, unless the offense is of serious nature, grant the person bail as soon as impracticable. Section 2. Bail granted under subsection 1 may be with or without sureties, subject to a duty to appear before a magistrate at such time and place as the officer appoints. 3. 3 is important. Any person who is arrested or detained, A, for the purpose of bringing that person before a court in the execution of an order of a court, or B, upon reasonable suspicion of the person having committed or being about to commit a criminal offense, who is not released under subsection 1, shall, in accordance with Article 139(4) of the Constitution, be brought before a court within 72 hours of arrest or detention, but the police may apply to the High Court for extension of time, and if any person arrested or detained upon reasonable suspicion of his or her having committed or being about to commit a criminal offense is not tried within a reasonable time, then without prejudice or any further proceedings which may be brought against him or her, he or she shall be released either unconditionally or upon a reasonable condition, including in particular such conditions are reasonably necessary to ensure that he or she appears at a later date for trial for proceedings permitting. Now, circumstances under which bail may be refused, and this is for the prosecutors. A court may refuse a defendant bail where A, the court satisfy that there is substantial grounds for believing that the defendant, if released, is likely to 1, fail to surrender to custody or to appear before a court as and when required. 2, commit an offense while on bail other than offense punishable only by a fine. Or 3, interfere with witness, tamper with evidence, or otherwise obstruct the course of justice in addition to the defendant or to any other person. And B, the court is satisfied that the defendant should be kept in custody, 1, for the defendant's own protection, or 2, for the prevention of the public order. C, the defendant having been released on bail has committed an act referred to in paragraph A, or 2, breach any condition imposed on the defendant for the defendant's release. D, the defendant is charged or is likely to be charged with a serious offense. E, there is substantial grounds for believing that the defendant has given false or misleading information regarding the defendant's name or address or no fixed place of abode. F, the defendant case is adjourned for inquiries to report, and it appears to the court that it would be impracticable to complete the inquiry or make the report without keeping the defendant in custody. And G, the court is satisfied that it has been practicable to obtain sufficient investigation for the purpose of taking the decision required by this section for want of time since the institution of proceeding against it. So you have here the police bail and circumstances under which bail may be refused. And I urge all policemen, please get a copy of this Bail Act. It's very cheap. You go to the Attorney General office, the library, and they have the staff, they're very courteous. Or you go to the Parliament building and you can get a copy of this here. I think it's less than it's money, but no, this one's $1,560. The price $1,560. Buy your law books. Don't do like others who would thief law books and don't read them. When I want my law books, I'll go and take my hard-earned cash and buy me law books. I don't thief law books. And even when I buy, I'll make sure that I read them. So the thing with bail is that there are points to be considered before granting bail. And also you look at the law, what the law says you can do with police bail and what the law say in relation to what you can do to oppose bail in court. And I hope that the police will take cognizance of this and they will read the law so they can get a man in court long after 72 hours and all kind of thing. They say as soon as practicable you and thing, let him man go and go. So keep him in court, you keep him in custody, and then he dies, and then you are in worries. You're deep down in problem.
Good advice to them to buy the books. If they go to the Attorney General's chambers, they don't have to walk with wheelbarrow. They can put the copper and they find change in some paper bag or some scandal bag, and they can take it there because that is the trend that was set. Carry it in copper, carry it in change. Now let me say this, because, you know, as we say, we are trained to analyze certain things. Yeah, share the life. We ain't done yet. Share the life. I know what I detected from that statement made yesterday that this man was placed on bail. I detect a cover-up. So they're trying to say that before the expiration of the 72 hours, he was granted bail. That is what they're trying to say, and that is disputed by the family members because they said they visited there Monday only. His father and all them were there all the time. And therefore, they are alleging, or they are insinuating that if bail was offered, they would have known and they would have been in a position to bail. Because of the assault, how much money, how much bail? You can't put no $1 million bail for an allegation of assault. You can't put his money, I'm sure, that the family would have been able to get. But the fact that that statement now is being made that he was granted bail, they said granted bail, that is part of the attempt cover-up. And let me tell you all, they say cover-up is worse sometimes, or just as bad as the crime itself. Just as bad as the crime itself. So they're trying to cover up. And let me say this too. This is advice to policemen. You know, a man reminded me this morning when I was commander a division. See, them people that know this thing. Every single morning, listen to this, there was what you call a prisoners parade. Every single morning in Brickdam compound. We lock out the compound, we get proper security, prisoners parade. All the prisoners in the lockups have to be paraded there, and officers will check. We used to have what you call a prisoner state every single morning. You have a prisoner state of all the stations in the division. All, the name of the prisoner, what time he came, what time he was arrested, what offense he's arrested for, all. And in that way, the commander, I as commander, I'm kept abreast of everybody. And they will tell you too that every time when I got a little spare time, I will go down to the lockup because Brickdam lockup was the biggest lockup in the country. You go down there and I would interact with the prisoners. And you never ask a prisoner what he did. Never ask a prisoner what he did because he never did anything. So you look by what they say you do. That is what I will go to the prisoners, as many as I could. So when you come in here, boss, you come with the same uniform, they're very respectful. Most prisoners are very, very respectful when they see uniform. What did you do? No, we ask them what they do. When you came in, what they say you do. They said they say thief, this, I say, but I ain't do nothing. You know, that is the way. You got to go down there. Cove and John, with all them command position and all them officers and enough inspector, them vision inspectors and them vision sergeant, what the president had. Why something like that can happen at the divisional headquarters where you're supposed to get an abundance of supervisory ranks? Is that because they're not supervised? Nobody got no responsibility to do these things. I don't know if they know about prisoners parade. Is an officer, a retired officer, reminded me this morning that we used to have, and that it didn't start with me. It's something I inherited, and I carried it on. Used to get prisoners parade. All the prisoners in the lockup. We get impact. We get them people that come with arms so they can't get away. All used to come out, and we check them, find out what they're there, and all of that. Prisoners parade. Do they have that now? If you have prisoners parade, all these problems you're gonna get. If you have a prisoner state, every single police station and outpost must send in the morning report a prisoner state. How many prisoners are there? Let me tell you a story. At Brigham, as I say, it's the biggest lockup. In them days, prisoners from the bush, Letem, and all them places, if, let me say, a man committed an offense in Letem, they used to get regular court. So they will bring them before the chief magistrate, and then they might be in police custody at Brigham. They weren't part of the offense wasn't committed in Brigham district. That is, in them days it was ENF. I had a particular commander. Once the prisoners are there, he ain't concerned. So when I checked the prison state, I realized that these people were there approaching the 72 hours. And I called him to find out what is going on with this prisoner. And he given me a little brush aside and a little brush aside. And I said, let me tell you something. On the approach to the expiration of these 72 hours, if you don't come and deal with these prisoners, I'm going to have them taken to your office at Ivlery and park them upon you. Because at the end of the day, if anything were to happen to the prisoners while they are in custody at Brigham, it's me, the commander, they're going to ask. Not you. Even though they are prisoners from your division, they're going to ask you, because I am the custodian of those persons. And I tell you plain, I say, I'm bringing them, I'm getting them to be taken to your office, and then you're going to decide what you're dealing with them. And he knew that I wasn't bluffing. He knew I wasn't bluffing. But I don't know what happens now. I don't know what happens now. And let me say this too. In the same matter. If you listen to the tape that was played earlier, that young man claimed to be the brother of the deceased person. He said that he saw a policeman. The name of the policeman was mentioned yesterday. Assaulted his brother. He said he saw with his own eyes the policeman assaulted his brother. Now I understand, as we saw there, the commander saying, all right, we can take statement for you. Commander, the man should have been immediately buttonholed. Because when you go to scenes like that, you can't go alone. You ought to have had your detective officer and other people. From the time the man say, hey, I saw this. Right away, you get the name, somebody pull you off to someplace, sitting down, and take a statement immediately. You don't wait for those things, man. That's where the lack of experience comes in. Let me tell you, I like share these things. I was a young commander in D Division. And one day, I used to live in the commander's quarters over there. I also lived in Georgetown. I was going to work from Georgetown today, and I got a call that there was a robbery the night. At I think Anna Katrina somewhere there was a robbery. And the victim was wounded. Y'all doesn't see you wounded and taken to the hospital. So on my way, because Anna Katrina is on the way to Lenora, I stopped at the place where this incident occurred. Saw the wife talking to them, and the detective came. I think he was Carpel then. Ulrich might remember the story. Detective Carpel, come there. And I heard the detective corporal in my presence telling the victim's wife that she must go to the Lerora station at a particular time to give a statement. Man, that thing, I get mad. I say, you're a detective. You come on a crime scene and you're not in a position to immediately take a statement from a witness. But you have to ask what happened. He was dealt with immediately. I think he was revolted. I can't remember the outcome. But I wasn't putting up with that. You can't, as a detective, go to a crime scene and not have your little briefcase with statement paper and all them everything. Right away, go in the car and take the statement from the person. But when you hear that they're telling you, all right, they're going to be a part of it, get the people them and get the statement immediately when it is fresh in their mind. When it is fresh, contemporaneous recordings, very, very important. But again, I say, and I pity some of the officers, because as I've said, you can do much university courses they have. I'm not knocking university courses, but certain things you're not going to be taught at the university, like what I'm saying here now. You can't, as Commander Mr. Stevens, go to a scene like that and not have your detective officer and some detectives with you. They should be there with you. And from the time that young man said that he was present and he saw a particular officer assaulted his brother, right away, name, address, and you pull a statement. If you can't take the statement, perhaps you're not convenient, take it right there. Name and address, telephone number, and you're following up. That is what that is part of the failure in the police force. They lack the knowledge, they lack the experience, they lack the knowledge. Next thing, they said, and the police corporal name was called yesterday. I'm not going to call his name here now because somebody says he's still patrolling. Allegation made against him, and he's still patrolling. They claim that on Friday, this man was arrested. It is alleged that during the course of the arrest, he was assaulted. What happened to the body cameras? What happened? Were they wearing body cameras? They make big noise, the president and them. 5,000 body cameras. And I would think that if you have 5,000 body cameras, that is more than the active policemen on duty. So every policeman on duty should have a body camera. What happened to the body camera? And I say this to say, body cameras can save policemen from allegation. Because if it is that this allegation is not true, and the policeman had a body camera that was working, then the evidence will there to save him. But maybe he not nobody, they ain't got no body camera. Maybe you see again, I say it's a lot of talk. A lot of talk. Oh, body camera, all the ranks must wear body camera. Body camera for stop accident on the road and all sort of thing. Well, what happens? How are these things implemented? What are the SOPs dealing with these things? And if the SOPs are violated, what are the consequences? But it grieves me when I see these things. So them basic, it grieves me. A man reminded me this morning, and I've been talking about it here, about weekly instruction classes. People don't get instruction classes, so they don't know what is going on. It is easy to blame the ranks and the ground, but you have to look at the management, starting from right to the very top, the commissioner. It is lack of proper management. I don't care what they say. All this is evidence that something is wrong. As we have said, there are too many instances where persons are dying in the police lockup and no one is held accountable. That same Cove and John, I would never ever forget. Cove and John, a couple of years back, a young lady reported that a car driver raped her. I wrote a letter on this thing. Some of y'all might remember. A car driver raped her. And would you believe that the police interviewed that young lady in the presence of the accused person, questioning she, also what happened? In the presence and hearing of the accused. And you know what happened? That young girl was so embarrassed. She went home and she committed suicide. Y'all remember the story? Something is wrong with the Ghana police. Well, many things are wrong. But when these things are happening, and let me understand this thing clearly, remember, this is not, these incidents are not only occurring in a particular location. It's almost countrywide. We talk about Lethem, we talk about Berbice, we talk about Georgetown, East Coast. Something is definitely wrong. I believe it's a case of poor management. It's a case of poor management. And I say again, before I bring in CC, there is no way something like this should have occurred at the divisional headquarters, the lockup at the divisional headquarters. There are too many high-ranking persons there. And if you want to say the outstations and so on, they might get a little slackness. Slackness should not be tolerated, should not be occurring at the divisional headquarters where, again, I repeat, you have the commander, you have the deputy commander, you have other senior officers there, you have the detective officer, you even have the traffic chief, you have the subdivision, all of them, they're right there. All of them are right there. Don't talk about station sergeant and inspector, enough people with khaki and stripes. Everybody now you see wearing stripes. So what happened? How can something like this occur at such a place? How can that? And the minister, the ministry issues a statement, and they talk about a thorough and comprehensive investigation has been initiated. The ministry assures the public, and in particular the affected family, that this process will be conducted with the highest standard of professionalism, impartiality, and accountability. Professionalism, impartiality, and accountability. By now, let me understand this, Minister, that people don't believe that the police can investigate a matter like this impartially, professionally, and to be accountable. That is it. People don't believe. And the reason why they don't believe too is because we have had So many similar incidents. And you don't hear nothing. So many similar incidents. And they tell you OPR, the Old People Resort, will investigate. And you don't hear anything for the people. Lose confidence in the system. And I'm disappointed in the minister, let me tell you plain, because the minister, as a lawyer and a former magistrate, inherited an office with the bar set very, very low. Ropes and men had this bar low. And I said it was an easy bar to get over. But the minister looked like enough talk. The minister looked like a lot of talk and no action is being taken. The minister seems to have had military training where she fall, you know, when you fall in and cover down. So it looked like the minister got there and the minister fell in and just covered down. Meaning that wherever you see, you just go with the same thing. Go with the flow. That seems to be the position. I hope that the minister can prove me wrong. I hope that the minister, because there are so many things since the minister went there in September. The big stinking scandal at the police training institution, allegedly involving a deputy commissioner. Minister Beck, big nice, about violation of the Sexual Offences Act and so on. We not hear nothing more. We ain't hear nothing more. As you come, Region 1, big scandal, fraud, accusation there. What happened? You ain't hear nothing. Right? So that is the story. That is the story. When these things happen, and you're telling people you're going to investigate, and even when you investigate, you have a responsibility to update the public with what happened. Whether you found evidence to prosecute somebody, whether there was no evidence, you have to do that. That is part of the training. If you're going to manage at that senior level, you have to be held accountable. The minister should hold the commissioner accountable. The commissioner should hold the divisional commanders accountable. Divisional commanders, subdivision, and so on and so that. That is the only way you're going to get accountability in the system. But as it is now, there is absolutely no accountability. There is no transparency. So these things are going to happen. Now, yeah, they got the priority wrong. They're talking about tint and all this type of thing. But matters like these, as CC said, should form case study. Look at it. Where did we go wrong? Where did we go wrong? Critical analysis. Where did we go wrong? What can we do to improve the system? Who are responsible? And make sure that whoever is responsible are made accountable. There is no way a man should die in the police lockup under these circumstances and stripes and fly and all these. People should get demoted and only stripes. How often did they check? The standing order is clear. They knew that the man, according to them, the man wasn't 100% because he was taken to the hospital, treated and sent back. That should have triggered the standing order which says that in such a case, he should be visited every half an hour or more frequently. Because the standing order say if the person is intoxicated or appears to be ill, that should have happened. And lastly, I want to say this before I bring in CC again. I want to say this. The default position of every person in charge of a station, this should be a default position. Once a person comes into custody, you should seek to have that person placed on bail. That should be the default thing. Not keeping, the default as it is now seems to be keeping him in custody. You should reverse that. Once the person comes, try to get him out. Once it's a bailable offense and something, put the person on bail. And you must recognize people in charge of stations, you must recognize that you're ridding yourself of a lot of responsibility. There is one thing you should feel. This man come, is an assault case, nothing serious, put him on bail. So you don't have the responsibility for him any longer. Either you put him on bail to return to the station, either you charge him and put him on bail to report to court. But you all get him locked up, and you recognize that more, you get him in the lockup is additional responsibility. You got to feed him. You got to make sure he's secure. Then you want pee. You got to it's more responsibility, and many people are there that ought not to be there for any length of time. And I say this again, in this particular case that we're talking about, the fact that this man assaulted his heavily pregnant girlfriend, you might have justification for keeping him in custody because you feel that if it is that he's sent away, he might go and he might continue the assault. He might react in a certain way, which will be inimical to the interests of the reporter. So yes, you might be justified in keeping him there. But Monday morning, you got a 72 approaching. Monday morning, bright and early, he should have been before the magistrate. for whatever offense would have been revealed in the statement given by the victim, or whatever offense revealed in the medical certificate you would have get. He should have gone to court Monday morning, but you keep him in custody and he dead Tuesday night. And who you think to be blamed? You got to be blamed. Why is he kept there all this time? And then you're coming up with your salawala and say he was granted bail. Could not have been granted bail and remain in custody. Let me understand this thing clearly. So even if, as you're suggesting, you will say, all right, bye, you're going to get bail. Why is the bail? Are you trying to suggest that nobody came to bail him, right? The people said they were at the station all day inquiring about the whole day Monday because they were led to believe, that's what I said, I almost forget this part, they were led to believe that he would have been going to court on Monday. So they turned up on Monday for him to go to court. Then you said, no, he ain't going to court Monday any longer. He's going to court on Tuesday. Why did he not go to court on Monday? Why? Give an explanation to that. He should have gone to court on Monday. And again, I sympathize with Mr. Stevens because you just take over and there is a gift they give you. There is a gift that was given to you. Right? Let me bring in CC in case you want to say anything on this matter. CC, anything more on this? Yeah, go ahead, my brother.
Yeah, there are quite a number of things I want to say, so bear with me. And I ask the question, what about station management? I used to run station sergeant course, Now I hear they get junior leadership course, senior leadership course. I know what they're talking about in course and who lecturing to them. And with this station management course, you get good persons to come and share experience with them. And let me tell you about the experience. I was an assistant superintendent and I took over Ronville Police Station then as the OC. In those days, Ronville covered the entire East Bank and East La Penitence, East Ronville and them places, and the entire, all the stations on the East Bank. And the third day, I think about 9 o'clock in the morning after I took over, the chairman of the Police Service Commission, Mr. Don Robinson, called me. He said, OC, I'm checking on a prisoner that you have in the lockups. He went in there yesterday afternoon about 2 o'clock. And tell me something about him. No? And I paused. I said, sir, I really, give me the name. I said, sir, I can't really tell you anything, but I'm going to check and give you feedback. He said, young officer, you don't have a grip of your station. You don't have a grip of the station. And there's it. The chairman of the Police Service Commission telling me was of the opinion that I didn't have a grip of the police station. And at the same time, promotion was coming up, and I had expected my little deputy sub, so it bothered me. Anyway, I got information and I let him know. But let me give you some instances that happened. And I always got to talk about Stephen Mansell. He retired as a senior superintendent. He could have been further. And Mansell, I was a commander Borbis, and there are some difficulties at Springlands police station. And I sent Mansell there. And Mansell used to go in very early. He believed in the 3 I's of management: inspection, investigation, and inform. That you inspect, you investigate, and you inform, the 3 I's of management. And he went in the morning, and they had a prisoner, I think he was from Venezuela. We held him the day before. He and some others go to rob somebody, and he got some licks from some residents in the area there. They took him to the hospital. The doctor examined him, and he said he's okay and sent him back to police custody. So when Mansell went in the station, they said, 3 prisoners in the lockups alive and well, alive and well. Mansell said they're alive and well. Let me go and check them. And when Mansell go and check, he called me. He said, so all right, go in the lockups there. And the Spanish man, they crump up in the corner, and he's talking a language that I understand. Crump up, he ain't looking too good. I said, well, what you going to do? He said, sir, I'm going to carry him to the hospital. I said, go ahead. carry him at the hospital. He was admitted in the hospital, and within about 6 hours, he died in the hospital. If Mansell didn't take the action, the man would have died in the lockups, and we'd have had a whole set of issues. Another one. This is Wim Police Station now. A guy stabbed up a police girl. I think they used to catch a stay on the quarantine. And the police can't find me. His brother. And I get permission to call his name. Colin Bino. A headmaster. He was a headmaster. His wife and his daughter, I think they created history. All three graduated from university at the same time with various forms of degree. And the police can't find me. And Bino called me early in the morning, about 2 o'clock. He said, my brother stabbed up stay and he had this location. I called the police at Wim. I said, this is where the man is. They called me back and said, I get him and in the lockups. Bino called me back and said, his brother drink poison and they get him in the lockups. I called Wim Police Station. Good luck for me, I had a detective assistant superintendent there. I said, but tell me about Bino, brother. He said, sir, he said he drink poison, but smelling his mouth, and his mouth and smelling like poison. So I get in the lockups. Well, I didn't behave too nice. I used some nice flowery language. And you will carry him to the hospital now, you yourself. And when you reach there, call me. He called me and tell me that everybody get admitted to the hospital. Within 6 hours, the guy died in the hospital. Here's it, a detective saying, the man say he drink poison. Detective say, man say he drink poison, but he mouth smelling poison. The man bluffing. I said, came in the hospital, he died at the hospital. And we had another one, bear me with this one, Purico. A man hang himself in the lockups with his belt. And the sergeant come, oh God, how we gonna tell the officer that the man hang himself with the belt? No. So they cut down the belt and hang the man with the pants. But the point I want to make is that you gotta know how you deal with prisoners. I gotta check. You got to always get a prison state from the $10 Robinson talk to me. I had a prison state, and the state would enable you to manage your division, manage your station. You might see a man in there for the first set of man in there for robbery and arms, and there's no report of robbery and arms. You might see they get juvenile there, and what juvenile in the station, yeah, carry them to space source or garden or somewhere. You might see females there, and there's no female police at the station. So it's there, you know, send you where they get female or bring some female to look at her. Because I always say that when a long females at station, automatically all the policemen at station to trusty men. I say me and all at the station, me is trusty men. We had recently at Faith Harmony where a policeman rape a girl at the station. So I'm saying that this prisoner state has helped you to manage. You must get your prisoner state on your desk so you know who is there, as the case may be. And station management is critical. It's critical that you need to do programs for them people at station to do station management so that they will to manage their station. But then you gotta get senior people experience to lecture to them. We don't want a man going and talking off a textbook. No. People must be able to dare to share experience with them so that they could learn. So if there's properly manage, you properly manage your station, all this thing where prisoners get injured and prisoners die in the lockups and things, them things will not happen if you manage your station properly. And as you mentioned, the Cove and John get sub-division officer, they get CID officer, they get traffic officer, they get all them people there. And then a man is going to die in a police lockup. Something is definitely wrong.
Some